Good day everyone and welcome back to yet another video. When I left you last, Mindy's eggs were just starting to hatch in the middle of the night on the 23rd. And that's where we're continuing from today. You can see her here lifting out the eggshells from the nest. So there are some brand new little chicks and little lives down there. I know I say it a lot, but I really do love seeing this insight into their world. And just watch Mindy eat the eggs. Bluetits don't actually have a lot of calcium in their diet, and when want calcium they need to outsource it. They'll even eat snail shells before laying eggs to substitute their lack of calcium. So it would make good sense to eat the eggshells that they produce with such calcium. And she didn't let us see the chicks until about 5:10 that morning. Just watch. So after a few stretches, there they are, the brand new chicks of 2021. And they're only about 4 hours old, and you can see that 3 of the eggs still have not hatched yet. So that's 4 chicks to feed and 4 very little hungry ones to feed. And it was 5:20 when Mindy brought in the first meal. And what was going to be the first of many. And 10 minutes later, the food is still coming in. And it seems to be that these newborn chicks are always a little finicky to feed, as they are completely blind and only really react to the parents' feeding call. And just watching the next sequence, a lovely green caterpillar is brought in. We saw very little of those in the last nest, and it's great to see them at this stage, as that morsel of food is going to have everything that chick needs. And admittedly, a little late to the party, Mork arrives at around 6 o'clock. I think he only realises now that the chicks have actually hatched, and promptly leaves to get more food for them. And nearly just a minute later, or even less, is back with more food. That's the sort of feeding behaviour I like to see. And we actually get a rare glimpse of Mork here, as he seems to want to take a look at the chicks. And Mindy obliges and actually moves aside to let him look. I'm sure that is massive encouragement to go find food for those chicks. And he heads straight out to do so. 3 minutes later, and he's right back in with more food yet again. No waiting for half an hour to 40 minutes. These two seem to be on the money. And with Mork bringing in so food, that means Mindy can stay and brood her chicks and continue to incubate her eggs. And this will ensure that other eggs will hatch and the chicks be kept warm. And this will ensure that the chick's metabolism will work at its very best. But that doesn't mean she's leaving all the work to Mork. She does head out every so often and find food herself. And it really doesn't take her too long to find food either. She's back within the minute. And just watch how she tries to orientate the caterpillar against the nest. This seemed to be to try to orientate the caterpillar so it's going down lengthways to the chick. And this is only my speculation, but I feel like that's a sign of an experienced parent. But nonetheless, she still finds it a little tricky to feed that big caterpillar to those little chicks. But eventually, one manages to get it. And we see her back again with another huge grub. The difference with the amount of food that's being brought to the nest when compared to the last nest is night and day. And I don't know about any of you, but when I saw this behaviour, I sighed a huge sigh of relief. And we see Mindy here actually hop up to the hole, and Mork lands on the hole, gives her some food, and then she hops down and feeds the chicks. A top performance by our power duo. And at this stage, it has only been Mindy that's been feeding the chicks. But just a couple of minutes later, or a couple of seconds later, Mork is in with some food and gets his chance. And thankfully, he done it very well. And we can actually see that he in this relationship is the scruffier one, while Mindy is the well-dressed bird. And as the day goes on, the feeding now never slows down. It continues at the same pace, and I couldn't possibly show you it all. And we see Mork here trying to coax the chicks to eat. Not always the simplest thing to do. As you can see, they don't always respond when they're young. But he seems to know that persistence is key. And we get another little mouth fed. Mork seems to take a little moment to take in his newly hatched family and then heads out to get more food. And thankfully, as the day goes on, those chicks just keep getting fed. And we still have 3 unhatched eggs in there, I do believe, so they still are due to hatch. So we're gonna have some chicks a little younger than others, and that can play a big difference, as bigger chicks have more energy to gape more, have a bigger appetite, and also are able to tussle with the smaller chicks to get into the more favourable position. So these 4 are going to have a big advantage over the next 3. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out, and we'll be sure to keep an eye on that. And let's just have a closer look at those little chicks. They really are tiny at this stage and completely dependent on the parents. And I've said this before, but it's amazing that every bird you see has started its life very like this. And after that textbook day, I'm gonna leave it there. I was fully confident watching this that these chicks had been fed plenty that day, but there was still 3 eggs to hatch, so I was expecting them to hatch this coming night. And we'll see in the next video if that happens. So thanks so much for watching, please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you again. Bye bye.